Okay, so I just bought this Prius C 2012. Just gonna make a quick video here on how to use the Prolong battery reconditioner to recondition the battery. So yeah, I was trying to save a bit of money, so I got the Lightbulb Discharger. But again, this video is going to be for, you can see this right here. It works with all these cars. So after making this video, I reached out to Prolong, and according to them, you can use any of their 240 volt larger capacity chargers on the Prius C. However, if you tried to use this Prius C charger on a regular Prius, it would only charge to 170 volts. So technically this video tutorial, besides the harness installation, is the same concept for any regular Prius models. The voltage is just different when charging and discharging. But I will include links to the Prolong's graphs that show the voltage specs depending on your Prius model in the description below, so make sure to check that out. But the rest of this video will be a tutorial specifically for the Prius Model C or Aqua version. Again, mine is a 2012 Toyota Prius C. So yeah, so let's, here we've got our harness that connects to the battery. And again, the discharging section will be later, but we're going to start with this first. I'm going to show you how to tear down the car to get to the battery. So the first thing I'd recommend you do is pull the seats forward, because as many of you may already know, in the Prius C cars, the battery is located right underneath this seat back here. Okay, so the first step here is you're going to remove the seat floor mats. So let me do that really quick. Okay, so there's these clips all along, and this one, mine are already disconnected, but basically what you do is you open these and then you remove them. And there's one here. See if I can get the camera so I can show you here. They're all along the edge here. Again, mine, I only had two in this car that I bought, so it might take you a little bit longer than it took me. But once you remove those, then this panel should just come right off. Okay, so there is one on the far left here that's a little bit different than the rest of them. You just have to push in this little button there, and then it just comes right out. So I've already removed that panel over there, and this one should come right off, just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these panels in a safe place. Now, this is where the fan is, on that left side there. And we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that, but you can see how nasty that is. The more clogged this is, the less likely it is for the battery to be able to cool down efficiently. Okay, so this is the next part. So I just wanna do a little bit of a disclaimer here that do this at your own risk, right? Because this is high voltage, but basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull down this clip here and then pull it up like that and then completely remove this, right? So that's gonna disconnect the battery from the car. Okay, I just did this on the other side. It seems a little bit intense at first, but what you're doing is you're just grabbing this part. So there's like a metal bar down here. You're gonna put your fingers right above that, and then, so you're just grabbing the seat, and then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna pull up, and it takes quite a bit of force actually, just like that. So I did that on the other side too. I'm sure it depends on what model you have. Since mine's the 4 trim, then it's got leather seats, and there's like this little like hook thing and it just pulls this way, and then it unclips from this clip here, and then the whole seat can come up, and should come up and out. Just gotta make sure these seatbelt parts go through, and then really glad I'm doing this because you can see, I don't know if you can see in there, but it is quite nasty. Okay, yeah, so the only thing keeping me from taking this back seat out is you've got this clamp here in there like that, and then it'll disconnect. I'm not gonna be able to do it one-handed, but you get the picture. Yeah, let me go ahead and remove this, and we'll do some deep cleaning with a vacuum. So yeah, I'm just gonna take some time and clean up whatever this stuff is. One of the most important areas to clean is this fan right here. This kind of mesh area, and then we'll take it apart later. Okay, this next part, there are 14mm screws. There's one down here, and then there's one over there, and then there's one right here, and one over there. We're gonna have to remove this metal frame here, and so I will go ahead and do that right now. I already undid this one, so you can just take these out, and then I gotta do this one up here too. Obviously, I'm using this impact wrench, but you could just use a normal hand wrench. And that last one right there, just like that. And then you'll see that this now comes right off. Okay, so once you've removed that metal frame, the next thing you're going to want to do is disconnect this negative terminal on the battery. And we'll put that on the ground there. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is remove this air fan duct. I know there's a special trim remover tool out there, but I don't have that. And I found if you just wedge 2 butter knives in and then pull them up like that, you can get these to unclip. I would show you, I just have one hand. So I just did that. And then you take this off, this clip off here, and then this will just remove. You have to kind of pull it out like that, and then it'll just slide right out like that. Okay, next, so on the actual hybrid battery itself, we're going to need to remove this bolt right here, as well as there's a bolt right here that we need to remove as well. And then there's one more that we need to remove right here on the left side. Okay, so next we're going to remove this fan. We're going to unclip this, and then there's 3 bolts that we have to get. I'm going to undo those bolts, and then I'll take off the fan. Should just be able to unclip like that. And then this assembly. So yeah, I just got some pliers, and I squeezed these 2 sides right here, and that helped me remove it from this piece. Okay, and then there's this last battery mount that we need to remove. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, the next thing we need to do is remove these 4 nuts, and then I'll show you how to get that orange clip off. This little orange clip here, it's got a specific like lock mechanism, and this is how you will unlock this and then clip it. Yeah, you kind of have to jerry rig it and then pull these two clips up at the same time. You just kind of have to play around with it. It was kind of hard to show with one hand. And then then you just remove this cover here. And then these guys, you just pull these and they unclip. Just want to kind of put these back there like that. Forgot one piece, you got to remove this guy as well. Just pull that out, and then what we're going to do is we're going to shift this whole battery assembly. Okay, so we're only slightly moving the assembly forward. It says 1.5 to 2 inches, and that's all you need to do. So here we go on this other side too. I think that's about as far as it'll let me go. You can see there's about 2 inches right there. And the reason why we moved it 2 inches forward is because we're going to need to remove this guy here, that one down there. I don't know if I can focus on it. There we go. And then you're also going to need to remove, it's kind of hard to see, right down there. Okay, so I'm removing this I already removed these 2 right here. I'm removing this last bolt here on the side. This is the one that was kind of hard to show on the camera. And then we need to remove this piece. So this next part, you've got to be very careful and use a flathead screwdriver to remove, here, let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Remove this cover here. Come on, buddy. There we go. Okay, so this piece right here, it actually just folds back, so that's really nice. And then you can see where that connector is right there. That's where you're gonna put this. So this is the wiring harness that you get from Prolong, or Hybrid Automotive, I guess is what they're called now. But the instructions say to kind of bend it in a C shape, like so. And then you're gonna remove this. It's an 8mm bolt right there, and we're gonna clamp this down. So I'm gonna show you how to do that in just a sec. Okay, so now we're going to loosen this bolt here. Oh, sorry. That looks like this is pretty easy, so I can just do it by hand. Okay, I decided to put on gloves because I'm really not an expert with this stuff, especially electricity. But you're gonna remove this bolt, and then you're gonna take this harness part and connect it right in there and put the bolt back on. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like when it's finished. And then once that's secured in there, tighten this. Hold on, it's a little bit tight back here. It says don't over tighten it, but I'm just gonna tighten it just a tiny bit because this it can break. So it's just enough so it's snug, but nice and tight. But you can see that red wire is bolted down to the positive terminal there. So you can see the positive symbol here and the negative down here. Just like I removed the positive, I removed this negative 8mm bolt here, and then I'm going to bolt down this black connector right there, and I'll show you what that looks like. Once you bolt down this black connector, you'll see there's kind of a little area for the black connector to come out, or the black cord, sorry. And then the red cord, you want it to kind of come up through this hole right here. So then you can go ahead and clip this piece back on right there. Okay, so the instructions recommend that you take a break and clean out this fan. So you can see there's some clips. You can see there's some clips all around it, and so you just unclip these and pull this off. Just run a vacuum, maybe a leaf blower, to get all the dust and dirt and debris out. This is a great opportunity to clean this, because you're not going to be taking apart this part of the car very often. So basically you're going to reinstall this fan, but before you do that, you need to reinstall loosely. I mean, I didn't go super tight, but this cover here, this metal connector with its 3 bolts there, and then you're just going to reconnect this fan assembly right there, just like that. And then we're going to screw in these three bolts. So I kind of did this off camera, but after you bolt in these 3 bolts there, so this is a fan control box, and there's a white clip that goes into here, and then there's the car has its power supply to the fan, and there's another white clip that connects. So this is going to be a intermediary between these 2 clips. And then what you're going to do is zip tie this fan control box to this hole right here, and then just kind of put those cables in there so it's all kind of nice and cleanly like that. And then you should be good to go. This is the harness right here, harness that you're going to connect the charger to. And then you're going to reattach this right here, this cable right here, and then reconnect this blue and orange connector, like so. And then we're going to reinstall these 4 nuts here, this cover, and then this orange pin release system mechanism as well. Okay, and then the next step, once you have that harness connected, is actually to open the back door. Now, if it doesn't open because the power is disconnected and you lock it, you can go ahead and reconnect the black terminal on the 12-volt battery, and then unlock the doors and then disconnect the 12-volt battery, and then the door will open before you disconnect it, right? And then you can remove this area here, and then you're going to want to remove this foam piece as well. And then you can see that there's a little hole there, and you're going to thread the wiring harness through that hole. And then you can go ahead and take this wiring harness here and put this foam piece back in. Here, let me do a 0.5 so you guys can see. Put this foam piece back in, just like that. And then you can even reinstall this mat here, just like that. And then the charger will just sit back, right back here, which you'll have to supply electricity to the charger. But basically what we're gonna do is connect the wiring harness to the charger before we connect the power to the charger. So now that the wiring harness is connected, I'm gonna go ahead and connect power to the charger, like so. And then what you're gonna have to do is there's this switch back here. You have to turn it on. Okay, so as long as the fan is going in the charger and this fan is running as well, you'll be able to hear it, then you should be able to reconnect this plug. And I'm gonna show you how to do that the right way. So in order for this to work properly, you're gonna connect it in here like this, and then you're gonna push this in like that, and then you have to push up like that, and then it's connected. Okay, so everything's been running. It started at 160 volts, but now it says 162, so that means it's gradually going up, which is a great sign. Both fans are running, the charger fan and this fan down here are running. And I'm leaving my windows open to dissipate any heat, and we're gonna let this rise. Okay, so yesterday it was at 160 at about 7 p.m. and then by the time I went to bed at about 1 a.m. it was at 170, and then now this morning it's about 10 a.m. And it's 171. So from 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. it's gone up maybe 1 volt. This is the peak charge for a Prius C. This is the most, I mean, it can technically go up to 172. Now it's been balancing since 1 a.m. and now it's 10 a.m. So that's, you know what, it's been balancing for about 9 to 10 hours. So we're good to disconnect this charger. The battery's topped off, and it's good to now connect the discharging light bulbs, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so I turned off the charger a while ago. I disconnected it, and I'm just gonna put it to the side for now. And I have reconnected this light bulb discharger to the harness here, and it's reading right now 164, where it was at 170, which I guess makes sense because I've left the charger off for a while, and some of that energy is probably dissipated a little bit through heat. But now we're going to do a deep discharge, so I'm going to get my 200 watt light bulb. I'm just going to screw in this light bulb, and whoa, that is very bright. But yeah, and then we're just going to watch this until it goes down to 140, and I'm going to change it with a different light bulb. Okay, so the instructions say online once it gets to 140 volts to switch it. I'm assuming this bulb's gonna be hot, so I'm gonna switch it from a 200 watt bulb to I only have a 60 watt bulb. It recommends a 75 watt, but I couldn't find one. So if you can find a 75 watt, then more power to you, but I'm gonna use this because I'm sure this bulb's pretty hot. Yeah, it's pretty hot. And so here goes this 60 watt bulb. Yeah, you can see it's noticeably a little bit less bright. So I'm assuming this is going to take a little bit more time. It is 10:53, and we will come back and see how long it takes to get to the next level. Okay, so the instructions say you need to swap it once the voltage reaches 100. It's now 3:19 p.m. And so I'm going to do that really quick. This is a 25 watt versus a 60 watt that I've been using. So I'm going to take this out real quick. Yeah, now this is a 25 watt. And we are going to wait for this to go to 96. Once that's on 96, then this is the first discharge cycle. Then we're going to charge it up again. Okay, so I should have stopped this at 96. I came out here a little bit late. It is 4:11 p.m. Okay, so I've disconnected the discharger and then about to turn on the charger again, which it says it's at 105 volts. So between the two of these, I'm not sure which is accurate, but and then we will recharge the battery until it gets to 170 again. Okay, so everything I just showed you, you're going to repeat for the second discharge. But this time you're going to go down, see the red, it says 72 with the 25 watt. Then you're going to recharge the battery, rebalance it, get it back up to 170, 172. And then you're going to discharge it again, but this time you're going to go down to 60 volts. So everything else is the same every time except for that last discharge is going to be even lower. Okay, folks, well, that concludes the tutorial. After the third discharge yesterday, I gave it 24 hours to completely recharge again. You can just put together the Prius back in the order that it was taken apart. Okay, so for your convenience, I've just put the footage in reverse as I explain what you do to put everything back together. So make sure you remove this orange safety plug completely. That way there's no volt running through the system. Now, if you use the Prolong harness and you want to keep it connected to the system, I reached out to pull up Prolong and they said you can do that. Then you don't need to do this part that I'm doing right here because everything should have already been tightened. But essentially you're gonna have to, if you're gonna choose to remove the harness, you're gonna have to take off these metal brackets and covers. Regardless of what you end up doing, there's that 2-inch gap that you need to move the battery back so it's against the frame of the car again, and then it lines up with the mount holes, the screw mount holes. And so once that's lined up, you can plug in the 3 connectors. So remember the white cord or the white connector right there. And then depending on whether you keep the harness in, this part is going to look a little bit differently. If you keep the harness in, you don't necessarily need to take off this top cover piece. So if you choose to leave the wiring harness in, one thing that I forgot to do is to reconnect this white connector. So you're going to need to take off the metal top cover and make sure that this white connector is connected alongside the white and orange connector to the left of it. So either way, regardless of what you do, you're going to put the top cover back on and you're going to have to reinsert this orange safety lock pin. And then obviously tighten the 4 bolts that fasten the top cover. And then you're going to remount the battery to the frame of the car. So the only thing that's been unrealistic up to this point is the fan should have been there all along. And even though the fan is in front, you can still access the battery mount screw hole to fasten the battery mount to the frame. And then don't forget to mount the rest of these nuts and bolts so that the battery is secure in place. And then replace the air duct that vents the battery, the fumes from the battery, and put the plastic clip back. And then you can reconnect the 12-volt battery, the negative terminal. You can put the seat frame back on and screw in the 4 connecting bolts. And then we're going to need to rethread the bottom of the chair back on top of the metal frame and loop the seat belt through and reconnect it. And then push it in so it's snug and secure. Make sure the seat belts are in properly. And then you're going to push down really hard so that the plastic clip connects. And then you're going to reconnect the part of the seats to the plastic clips on the sides. And then once the seat's reconnected firmly, you can reinstall the service plug. Make sure you push up at the end here. If you don't do that, the car will not work. And then you're going to put the plastic pieces back on around the car. And then the plastic connectors that go along with them. and then you can put your floor mats back. And that's how you put the car back together. Now, if you've chosen to leave your wiring harness in, then it'll just be in the back of the car for any time you need to balance or do a reconditioning cycle. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Dr. Prius life expectancy test, but when I did the test at first, I got 66.7, and it said my battery was in fair condition. And then now we're looking at about 104%, and it says my battery is in new condition. And I've noticed a slight difference in gas mileage. But the main reason why people do this is to prolong the life of their car and their hybrid battery.